Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another lore of League of Legends. In this episode, we're going to be heading back to the Kumungu jungle to cover a champion who, before she became what she is today, her race once dominated the brush-covered lands. I present to you the lore of Zyra, Rise of the Thorns. Enjoy. The Kumungu jungle can be a dangerous place. Many humans have lost their lives in the tropical forests in the pursuit of long-forgotten treasures to make their lives worth something more until the end of their days. Instead, they found themselves inside nature's domain, where the creatures and plants of the jungle hold the power, and humans are considered to be merely intruders. If anyone managed to wander deeper into the jungle, however, they'd find themselves in a place far more dangerous. There, in the area known only as the Plague Jungles, even the animals cannot feel safe. This part of the forest is covered in twisted vines and festering rot. If the Kumungu jungle was an image of nature's power, the Plague Jungles were an image of how twisted and dangerous nature could really be. Zyra was one of those who had forged the Plague Jungles into a place that they are now. She and her kind had come to the Plague Jungles and dominated it using their thorns and vines. They set traps for animals that were foolish enough to come near. They were plants, perhaps the most unlikely of predators in the jungle, but yet, they were one of the most dangerous. As the years passed though, the animals of the jungle had learnt to avoid the area. Only single beasts had been foolish enough to come near, but it was nowhere near enough to provide food for every plant in the colony. One by one they withered away, with only the strongest managing to survive. But even that changed eventually, and Zyra was the last remaining. She thought that she would soon die, perishing alone. But in an unexpected turn of events, a young unwary sorceress had entered the Plague Jungles after being drawn to unknown sources of magic that were hidden within. This was an opportunity for Zyra to survive. It was years since Zyra had sensed a living being, and so was lured in closer. She needed to satisfy her hunger to survive. Her vines moved in, slowly luring the sorceress into a trap, and soon she could not wait any longer. She enveloped the woman in vines, easily snapping the bones in her body, and her thorns had cut the woman's flesh, allowing her to savour the meal. But as the young woman's life essence flowed through Zyra's body, she felt something weird, some kind of energy that had been slowly filling her. With the power came the flow of memories, visions that the plant had never seen before. She saw great jungles of stone that had been built by the humans, creatures that she'd always seen as soft and weak. Yet they managed their own homes, their own forests. In those stone houses she saw that humans and the animals they controlled had been living calm and peaceful lives. They didn't have to worry about beasts. They could develop. They could learn and improve their tools. Zyra saw the metal skins that they wore to protect themselves, but also humans who had been wielding magical energy, binding it to their will. Watching those visions, she was slowly learning to use the magical energy that she could now feel inside of her. She understood how to weave single threads of magical energy into more complex and bigger spells that would allow her to create things at her will. With these new abilities, she'd come up with a new plan of survival. She's created a vessel for herself, one that resembled a human body and one that would allow her to become one of them. She entered the vessel and was almost instantly overwhelmed by the raw power at her disposal. She was in awe, but at the same time she'd realized she'd become fragile. There was no way for her to escape death anymore. If her arm was cut from her body, she couldn't just retreat into a network of vines. There were no roots that would allow her to recreate her body once it was destroyed. But yet she enjoyed the freedom that came with this form. She felt alive. Watching the world as the humans did, she left her homeland with a vicious smile on her face. The entire continent was open to her. She could now do whatever she wanted, with no boundaries to restrain her. She could start her own colony, as her kin had done previously in creating the plague jungles. But for the time being, Zyra needed to keep her head low. She needed to learn to control her body and unleash its full potential. There was only one place where she could do that, without any suspicious looks or mages attempting to constrain her. Following the memories of the sorceress that Zyra had murdered, she made her way to the Institute of War and demanded to be introduced into the League as one of its champions. And that's all I've got for you this time around. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like down below. We're coming up towards the end of our journey soon, and I'm looking for new ideas for content for you guys, so feel free to leave your suggestions down below and we'll see what we can come up with. Don't forget the majority of champions have now been done, so if you've not seen your favourite yet, click the annotation at the top of the video or in the description box to check the playlist. Thanks for watching everyone, and as always, I'll see you next time.